In this video, we're going to generate a single CSR, certificate signing request, for multiple CMS services and then install the resulting certificate onto the CMS server. To start, let's go ahead and SSH into the CMS with admin credentials. I'm using Putty, but you can use whatever SSH client. Run the command pki list. This will show us a list of all certificates available on the server. In this case, we have none right now. Now we're going to generate a certificate signing request. We can run the command pki followed by a question mark to look at all the pki commands. We're going to run pki csr followed by all the parameters that are going into the signing request. So the first thing we enter is the base name, which is an alphanumeric name that names the CSR and the private key. And just keep in mind that from this point on, some of the commands are case sensitive. So the first thing we put in is the common name, and we can also include optional fields like organization or business name, organizational unit, location, state, region, country. Some of this may be required by your certificate authority. You might want to include this information if you're going to use a public CA to sign your certificate. Finally, we're entering the subject alternative names, and we're comma separating them because we're entering multiple. So just to run through the command before we run it, pki csr, that's the command to generate a new CSR and private key on the CMS. Bridge cert, that's the name of our certificate and private key. The common name is example.com. The organization is Example Inc. The organizational unit is support. Location is RTP, state North Carolina, country United States. And we have two SANs, callbridge.example.com and webbridge.example.com, because we're intending to use this certificate for both our callbridge and webbridge. Keep in mind we do have to put quotes around an attribute if there's a space between the words, such as in North Carolina. Okay, let's run the command. And you can see that our CSR and the private key have both been generated and placed into the root directory of the CMS server. Now we can just download the CSR off the CMS server using an Sftp client. I'm going to use WinSCP, but you can use whatever Sftp client you want to. We just log in as admin and we could download the file we generated right here. If you'd like, you can look at the details of your CSR using a whole bunch of different websites such as SSL Shopper. Depending on your deployment requirements, you may need to have the certificate issued by a public CA, but for this demo, we're just going to use Microsoft Windows CA Server to generate our certificate. Active Directory Certificate Services is probably what you would use if you have an internal CA that's going to sign the CSR for you. Now that we have the signed certificate, we're just going to upload it back to the CMS server. So go back to SFTP and just drag it back into the root directory. Let's SSH back into the server and just verify that everything's okay. We can use the command pki list and make sure that we see our new certificate there. In this case, we do. The new certificate file and the private key that we have are mathematically related, so we can verify that with the command Pki Match, and that will match the private key to the certificate to make sure that they go together and we can use them, and again, in this case, they do. And now the new certificate is on the CMS and ready to use. So for example, you could run the webbridge certs command to associate this certificate with the webbridge service. That's all there is to generating a CSR and putting the resulting certificate onto a CMS. I hope this video helps, and thank you for watching.